So I've generated over $100 million from Facebook ads for my clients across 20 different industries and close to $15 million for myself. And after running thousands of ads, you inevitably spot exactly why campaigns flop, what's actually causing it, and how to turn flopping campaigns into ones that absolutely print cash. So after growing a lot of gray hairs over the past 6 years, figuring out all of this, I'm gonna save you guys all of that time and stress, hopefully, and show you exactly how I made over $100 million with Facebook ads and everything I learned along the way. So you can start seeing 2 to 10x returns on your ads now. Back in 2019, I was still a junior in college and I had every single one of my credit cards completely maxed out. But that's not because I was blowing money on stupid stuff, but because I was running Facebook ads on my personal credit card trying to make money with Shopify stores. And the crazy part is those stores were actually getting revenue, so in my head, I thought I was making progress. But in reality, I was just a beginner business owner doing stupid mistakes like not calculating my true profit margin, which meant that every month I was looking at my revenue and feeling good about it while my credit card balance kept going up and up. And by the time it caught up to me, I was about $14,500 in debt, and me and my girlfriend were living off of $120 a week that her mom would give us. Now, the reason I'm telling that to you guys is because that experience is exactly where I figured out one of the most important things about running ads. My ads were getting clicks, traffic, but I had no rule for when to stop spending. I was just throwing money at campaigns and hoping that they eventually turn around, and by the time I even realized that they weren't going to, my credit cards were already maxed out. So after managing millions in ad spend for clients, I turned that mistake into a rule that I never break. The 2.5x rule. Before I spend a single dollar on any campaign, I know exactly when to shut it off. So if you spend 2.5x times the price of what you're selling and you haven't made a sale, you need to kill that campaign immediately and move on. So if the product is $1,000, you spend $2,500 testing. And if you don't have a sale by then, something needs to change. Whether that's the offer, the creative, or the audience, and you move on because the math already gave you the answer. You need to treat this as logical, not emotional. And the reason this matters so much is because most people who run ads make one of these 2 mistakes. They either kill their campaigns too early before the data has time to tell them anything, or they let losing campaigns bleed for weeks because they're emotionally attached to something they spent days making. 2.5x rule takes all of that emotion out and lets the math make the decisions for you. Now, what happens next was the worst moment of my entire journey, but it's also where I figured out something that completely changed the way that I think about ads. After maxing out every single one of my credit cards, my rent was due in about 10 days. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't going to be able to make the payment, not even with a credit card, because I applied for more and they denied me. I drove to my girlfriend's house, I stopped at the gas station right next to her place, and I didn't even have enough money to put gas in my car. The pump kept telling me to speak to the person inside, and I was so embarrassed that I just drove away. And my car ended up getting towed, and I didn't even have enough to get it back. So I sat down on her couch, told her I couldn't hang out right now. I pulled up my laptop and I started calling every single business I could find on Google because I had $0 to run my own ads, and that was the only option I had left. But what I did have was the skill of knowing how to run Facebook ads. So instead of trying to sell products for myself, I was going to sell the skill itself. So after calling about 400 to 500 businesses, one guy actually called me back. And the first thing he tells me is that he spends $100,000 a month on Facebook. And what do I know that he doesn't? Keep in mind, my rent was due in 7 days, and I had no idea what I was going to say. But instead of trying to pitch him on what the results I had or how great I was, I asked him one simple question. Are you running lookalike audiences? He clearly wasn't expecting that. He most likely expected me to sell him something, and the fact that I came in challenging what he was already doing made him curious enough to invite me to his furniture store. So I printed a presentation at the USF library because I genuinely didn't know any better, and drove to his furniture store. And I waited about 45 minutes for him to show up. Now we sat down for a 45 minute meeting, and at the end he walks away, comes back with a checkbook, writes me a $1,000 check, and told me that I have 3 months to show him what I can do. I called my dad immediately, and his response was so funny that I think about it now. He was that the check was going to bounce. And then I was sitting in the parking lot Googling how to deposit a check because I had never received one before in my life, but that moment taught me something that I use in every single ad that I build to this day. I got that client by challenging something he was doing wrong instead of trying to prove that I was qualified. And that is the same exact thing that works when selling something, specifically through ads. See, in every industry, there's a default angle that the majority of advertisers are using. And that default angle is exactly what you want to avoid. Because whatever they're all agreeing on, or the assumptions that they're all reinforcing, should be your opening. And the first example that pops into mind is in the life insurance space. Because in that industry, the angle of needing insurance before you die has been beaten to death. Honestly, everybody uses that. So for one of our clients, we completely threw that out and repositioned the entire offer around infinite banking, which is the idea of becoming your own bank. And we made the 401ks and Roth IRAs the enemy. We went after people with corporate jobs who were putting money into retirement accounts without actually questioning what it actually was doing and what it was costing them. And that one angle shift produced a $5.6 million campaign. And finding your angle is actually easier than you think. You just look at what every other advertiser in your space is running right now, and whatever belief they're all reinforcing, you find a way to challenge it. Now, at this point, I had my first real client. I was making money for the first time without losing it, and I genuinely thought I had everything figured out. But what happened next was the most expensive lesson I've ever learned. And it also changed the way that I think about what goes inside an ad. Because I worked with that furniture store for about 3 months, his ads were actually performing really well, and the numbers were going up. But I lost that client anyways. And the reason is stupidly simple if you ask me. I never showed him the results. I was just running the ads, watching the numbers go up, and assuming that he could see what I was seeing. But he had no clue what was working, what I changed, or even what I was doing for him. Now, losing that client definitely stung, but it made something click. Because I realized that in every business, every single loss is really just a lesson. And if you take that lesson, fix what went wrong, and keep going, the results eventually catch up. So that's exactly what I did. I started taking on every client I could find, from dentists, roofers, dog trainers, insurance agents, e-commerce brands, you name it. And honestly, a lot of those early campaigns were rough. I had clients who gave me 30 days and I had to figure out their entire industry from scratch while their money was on the line. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like I had it all figured out, because I definitely did not. There were months where I'd lose 2 or 3 clients back to back, and I would genuinely wonder if this was going to keep working or if that first furniture store guy was just a lucky break. And every single time a campaign flopped, I sat down and reverse engineered what happened. I went through the audience, the ad copy, the creative, and the landing page until I found out exactly what went wrong. And I made sure that I never made the same mistake twice. And after doing that across enough industries, something clicked inside me. It was almost like a switch turned on where I could look at any ad account in any niche and immediately tell you what was wrong and how to fix it. Because the same mistakes kept showing up everywhere, and the ads that actually worked, no matter what the business was, always had the same exact things in common. And it was always about calling out a real pain the audience was already feeling, showing them what could actually change, backing it up with proof that they could actually see with their own eyes, and then making it super easy for them to take the next step. And once I saw that, I just kept repeating it over and over again. And over 2.5 years of doing that over and over across more and more industries, I hit $100,000 a month with my own business. Now, everything I've learned since then, after gathering well over $100 million for my clients, I've put into a free course called Click to Client that walks you through literally everything you need to successfully run ads in 2026. So if you want free access to it, I'll leave a link down in description. Now, $100,000 a month was something I genuinely never thought I'd hit, but the jump to $500K a month is where things got really interesting, because it almost didn't happen. See, once you get the campaigns that are actually working, the natural thing to do is to try to make them bigger. And I did what everybody does, which is just raise the budget on whatever's already performing. And the first few times I did that, it seemed like it was working. The numbers were obviously increasing, everything was going up for about a day or two, and then the cost per lead would start climbing up, creeping up to the new level, and the lead quality would drop significantly. And within a week, I'd be spending way more for way worse results than I was getting before I even touched anything. And this kept happening over and over again. I'd find something that works, try to scale it, watch it break, and it was super frustrating because nothing about the actual ads have changed. They were the exact same ones that were printed experimenting before. So I completely flipped my approach. Instead of raising the budget on one campaign and hoping for the best, I started duplicating what was already working at smaller amounts across multiple ad sets. And that completely changed everything, because now I could actually see which specific audiences were performing and which ones were quietly dragging the whole thing down. And so when something stopped working, I just cut it, while the winners kept running untouched. That one shift is what took me from 100K a month to over 500K a month in about 6 months. And to give you guys an idea of what kind of result this produces, I had a home service client down in Florida called SPF who came to me, and within 2.5 months, I got them over 1,000 leads, 54 closed deals, and $442,000 in revenue tracked by running the same exact approach that I just broke down. And 5 months in, they were over 2,000 leads, 126 deals, and more than $1 million in deals closed. But the one that really blows my mind is a client who I built one single ad back from July of 2023. And let me say that again, one ad. And she's been running the same exact ad right now, close to 3 years later. She does about $60,000 a month off of $2,800 in ad spend. Her wait list is 6 months out, and I genuinely don't remember the last time we had to refresh her creatives, because it just runs while she focuses on actually running her business. And that's really the whole point of everything I just walked you guys through. You figure out what works, you stop overcomplicating it, and you let the ads do their job while you go run your actual business. That's the game. And I'm telling you guys all of this because this is the exact same approach that generated over $100 million for my clients and over $15 million for myself. You can literally take everything I just showed you and run it for your own business. Because if I was able to get from where I started to where I am right now, you can do the exact same thing, if not better. Now, the game doesn't stop at figuring out what works and letting the ads run. It goes deeper into how you actually structure your campaigns, how you set up your targeting, how you track what's actually working. And that's exactly why I built a full course covering just that you can access completely for free. So if you're interested in checking that out, I'll leave a link in the description below. Now, if you're already running ads and you want to take your results even further, that course is going to be super valuable for you. But if you're not at that level yet and you want to learn how to crush Facebook ads on a small budget in 2026, I made a video exactly on that, and I'll leave it linked right here.